I was, blaming AEW for feeding you chicken shit, knowing you mindless millennials would be eating it up as if it were chicken salad, when it's really been your fault all along.
Make chicken salad out of chicken shit. People is as people does, that's all there is to it. Put a square peg in a round hole, just never seems to fit. And you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Welcome to Making Chicken Salad, the Wrestle Radio Australia podcast, where we talk about everything going on around the world of wrestling. I'm an internet detective that thrives in these situations, Lachlan Albert, and I'm here with a staff member running thousands of accounts, Todd Eastman. Todd, how you doing, mate?
011101101110111.
I'm good, anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, let's jump straight into the dumbest wrestling story that's happened this past week, I reckon. Tony Khan's got on Twitter again, which is always a good start when we start talking about that. And the quote here is, an independent study has confirmed that much of the staunch anti-AEW online community aren't real individuals. It's a staff running thousands of accounts and an army of bots to signal boost them. Look closely, these aren't real people. Who'd pay for such a wildly expensive thing? Research this one yourselves. You internet detectives thrive in these situations. Todd, why is Tony on Twitter again?
Well, because WrestleMania is over, and he needs to take back some Twitterverse because he'd lost a fair bit of it too. The whole people talking about WrestleMania. I'm not saying that like WWE completely. Yeah, I'm just saying that like a lot of the talk was about what was going on in WWE at the moment, and Tony had to put his Ritalin-filled mouth into it and pull out this gem, which was like. It's sort of the funny thing is the tweet came out of nowhere too. It was not like people were saying, "Oh, this is happening," and he goes, "Well, an independent study." No, it was just like out of nowhere, which made it even more like sort of like he'd woken up. Oh, an independent study. So it's man. Look, it can't be that people mightn't like my product. It's got to be that someone's sabotaging me.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And like you said, out of nowhere. Why is there an independent study looking at anti-AEW tweets?
Yeah,
that doesn't seem like
someone might have commissioned said study.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone that maybe owns an analytics firm. I don't know.
Like, what kind of wrestling company owner would own an analytics firm, Todd?
Maybe. An owner of a wrestling company that also would own, I don't know, an NFL team or maybe even a Premier League team. Well, not a Premier League team because they got relegated. Well, they've been relegated for a while. They're just not coming back for a while. Yeah, it's just, man, wow. I mean, that's all. Wow. Even the staunch AEW people had a hard time defending that, which is bad. It was, it's bad when even they're like, dude, you're killing us. Yeah. We're trying to help you here, but you're killing us.
All right. Well, look, let's stay on what's going on around the world of AEW. And I mean, what should have been our headline from AEW would be that Rampage and Dynamite are going to begin streaming on New Japan World. So if you're not familiar with New Japan World, just like WWE has the WWE Network, New Japan has their own product where for 999 yen a month, you can subscribe, get all the New Japan Pro Wrestling content, and now Rampage and Dynamite. Now, Todd and I were talking just before the stream, so one thing we're not sure of is how quickly it's going to get uploaded to New Japan World after the shows happen. And also, I was just thinking
I was also just thinking about it. Maybe it won't be the English version. It'll just be a Japanese dub of the version of the episode.
That's very possible. We know that there is English language content on New Japan World. So if you go onto New Japan World to watch, for example, when they do the January 4 show, you can get English commentary with it. So it wouldn't surprise me to see English commentary there.
A few of my good friends are in a documentary that are on New Japan World. If you
we should go check that one out.
You should go and check that out. They are very good. Mitch Ryder, Tim Hayden, Sebastian Matters, shout out to those boys. They're on. I think it's called Lions Break, or Lions Raw. I always get confused with the Lions thing, but it's a documentary on the Farlight Dojo, and that outtake that happened pretty much during the second sort of lockdown, COVID lockdown thing. So it is quite interesting when you come to that stuff. Not only just seeing the story of the guys that are training.
Yeah, so a word of warning if you're looking at New Japan World, they always take subscription fees on the first of the month, right? And that's Japanese time. So be very careful if you're subscribing late in the month, because if you go and it's the 28th and you pay your $10 or so subscription, a couple of days later, they'll take another $10. So
wow.
That's my tip is if this news is making you want to subscribe to New Japan World, do it on about the 4th or 5th of the month, because they will charge you on the 1st, no matter when you started your subscription. But yeah, I think that's really good news. Like for me, as someone who has their New Japan subscription, right? It means that if I want to watch Rampage, I don't have to, pay also for a fight subscription or illegally stream. Don't know what that cough was. Because here in Australia, it is quite difficult to access those AEW shows, I end up not watching a lot of them because it's just more trouble than it's worth. And having them on New Japan World could be a great solution for me personally.
To be fair, I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and they're more accessible than WWE if you don't have Foxtel to watch.
That's true.
With like AEW. Like, because I know if you've got KO, which is another sports streaming thing, they put up Raw, SmackDown, NXT, but it's always like 2 days after. So it's never like the live broadcast of it. Whereas like if you've got the Fight subscription, you can watch them live or straight after or however you want to pleasure. So, I mean, when you think about it, it is more accessible to Australians than what WWE is at the moment.
That's just a very good point.
Not getting out to them more, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's true. If I want to watch Raw live, I drive over to my folks' place because they've got Foxtel. So
I don't go to Twitch at all and look for something.
Oh no?
No, I never do that because that'd be wrong.
For people streaming it on Twitch, yeah.
No, that'd be wrong. And I encourage people to not do that.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to just like Google watch wrestling to find it. That'd be a bit sus.
That would be highly illegal, and I wouldn't encourage anyone to do that.
Wouldn't encourage that at all.
No.
Anyway, moving on to what else is going on in AEW. There was a fairly big episode of Dynamite where a few things have happened. Wardlow is continuing to make trouble, leading to Sean Spears winning by DQ against Sean Dean, or losing by DQ. I can't remember. Wardlow was there. It's all happening. There's the big feud with Eddie Kingston and Santana and Ortiz versus the Jericho Appreciation Society. Some of the more interesting stuff for me, though, was we had one of the first matches of the Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament. This one was between Max Caster and Samoa Joe. Unsurprisingly, Joe got the win in under 3 minutes, looking absolutely dominant. And the big news for Joe is that he also has a match set for next week where he will be challenging for the Ring of Honor TV title against Minoru Suzuki.
Do you think he wins that?
I think he wins it, because how long is Suzuki going to be in the country?
That's what I thought. I was like, wow, they're really like straight away doing this thing. And if they do that, does that mean that Jay Lethal now will go after Joe, or is he going after Gresham like it was sort of pointed to at the last Ring of Honor pay-per-view?
A great question. Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. Look, I'm really excited for the match because I think I've seen car accidents that will be less forceful than this match.
But that's also on. Oh no, that's on Dynamite, isn't it? It's not on Rampage.
It is on Dynamite. Yeah. So a couple of other things that have happened on this week's Dynamite.
I didn't tell my joke, so I just want that known for people out there.
Todd.
For Welshie and you, because Welshie, you, and Bobby Bishop, the only three that know the joke that I told, and it was a doozy. So
Yep. Well restrained, Todd. Good work.
It was hard,
Moving
though.
on. Moving on. The Hardys had a tables match against the Butcher and the Blade, which felt to me kind of unnecessary. We also had an early match in the Women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament. This one had Hikaru Shida beating Julia Hart, which I absolutely think was the right decision because we've talked before about how Julia Hart is good but green. But a returning Serena Deeb confronted Shida after the match. So that's very exciting. We set up for a big title match for Adam Cole after he beat Christian Cage. There's going to be a Texas death match between him and Adam Cole is going to challenge for Adam Page's AEW Heavyweight Championship. What do you think of this match and this stipulation?
It's almost like I've seen this before. I don't know what they'd like. Texas Death Friend. It's in Texas. I think it's in Texas, isn't it? That's why they did the Texas Death. I don't know. Anyway, it's more like, can you find a different match for him to do? Because now he's done. This will be his second Texas Death match as the champion, and like I get it. He's a cowboy, but he's not that much of a cowboy. If you get my drift, he's not like rope 'em, steer 'em, Terry Funk sort of cowboy. He's just a dude that happens to drive a Tesla with the horns on it. I mean, I don't know. Be a bit more inventive when you're coming up. I know you got to try and come up with stip matches because that's just what Tony seems to like to do now. He does like a couple of matches in a stip match because that's the blow off. And if that is the blow off, is Adam Cole going to win that? And if he's not, what the hell are they going to do with Adam Cole after this?
Okay, devil's advocate here, Todd. If the Undertaker had more than one casket match in a title reign, would you have the same complaint?
No, because his name is the Undertaker.
Right.
He's
and
not
this is
like,
Hangman.
Then have a Hangman match? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it doesn't make, he doesn't seem like that type of person to have that match though.
Sure. He does feel more like a wrestler than a deathmatch wrestler. I fully agree.
He's not I don't see him as a brawler type match. And for a Texas death match, that's what I see. Like I see that as a brawler type that does that match. I mean, his finishing move is a slingshot lariat where he basically does a somersault into the ring into a clothesline. That's not a brawler's move. The lariat, sure, but not the little fancy stuff before it. If he just did like the Bradshaw clothesline from hell, I could see it fitting a bit more. But yeah, I think he's been a bit lazy when it comes to it. When it comes to that stip, like think of something different. You only just did this 2 months ago. I think that's more what I'm getting at is that it was only done. When was the match with Murderhawk?
Murderbird?
Yeah, the Murderbird.
A few months ago now, wasn't it?
I don't know. This is what I mean. It doesn't feel like that long ago. Would have been before.
Let me find out for you right now.
Yeah, we're gonna just dun 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 dun.
But yeah, it was so like again, I agree that I don't necessarily think it's the perfect stipulation for him. It was in February. It was more recently than I thought. So 2 months ago.
Yeah. See, it's that to me, that's too soon. Especially with these two. Especially like I know that Tony doesn't like doing rematches a lot. But still, you could probably like how do they do extending feuds now if they're not going to be doing that? And I just think the stip match is a little rushed. And I'll be interested to see what happens, but I can't. Texas Deathmatch is just going to have everyone involved.
Yeah,
you know, they're all going to come out.
The Bucks are going to be there, and it's going to be
Well, who knows if
and
it's
then
the
they'll
Bucks?
get fought off by Dark Order or whatever.
Yeah, definitely Red Dragon will be there, and then definitely Dark Order
will be there,
and then not even definitely Dark Order, maybe Jurassic Express.
Yeah, whoever's showing up, it's going to be it's going to be a schmoz type of thing. And do you see Adam Cole taking the title off Page?
I don't know. I honestly don't know if they do it, and they're not really. I think they've done it once before where they've changed. Don't want that. No, they changed the. Was the world title? Did Moxley and that lose that on a pay per view or at a Dynamite when Moxley lost his title to Omega? I'm sorry, I'm giving you so much research.
I'm sure.
Was it a pay per view? So they've never actually changed the title on a TV show, have they?
Sorry, Omega beat Moxley on Dynamite.
It was on Dynamite. There you go. So it was a Dynamite. So who knows? Maybe they will do it. So I'm still not a massive fan of booking every TV show like a pay-per-view because you're going to hit a saturation point where what do you do to draw pay-per-view numbers? Because in real terms, if you're just getting the same pay-per-view number, same ratings numbers every week, which is what they're doing. They've moved it up a little bit. It's between it's between 900 and a mil. So they're doing that. But if you're just doing that every week, then that's the money you're going to get. So why wouldn't you just go, okay, we're going to do that, but then we're going to point them towards these pay-per-views every 4 months or 3 months, however long it is.
Well, let's jump off that idea, Todd, and talk about the main event of this show, which was a rematch of a match we've seen before for championship titles, and something that again maybe should have been on one of those big shows and not a weekly show. FTR versus the Young Bucks. This was for both the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles and the AAA World Tag Team titles. So 4 belts on the line, and FTR defeating the Young Bucks in a fantastic match.
Yes.
Meltzer gave it 4 3/4, which is only just shy of the 5 that he gave to FTR and the Briscoes recently. What did you
make? There'll be a
of
nasty email from Nick and Matt.
Oh yeah.
I love the match. It's one of those things where I was genuinely surprised that the FTR got over, because I thought for all money that they were going to do it and screw them out of it, and then have them chase for it again and do
Look,
this
as
sort
soon
of
as I
thing.
found out it was for both sets of belts, I was sure it was FTR defending, because I don't think you have them lose 2 belts in the one match.
Yeah,
not in either of those companies, right? Because it's the ROH belt and the AAA belt defended in AEW.
I had a feeling, like beforehand, when it was the AAA belt, that they're going to drop these, because I think the Bucks were booked over in AAA very soon. So I was like, why wouldn't you give them the belt so they can go over and defend them when they go over to AAA? But I mean, it's the match that they needed to drop it back to, or they needed to drop a fall to FTR just to keep that. This is 1-1 now, so there's going to be a third one down the line somewhere. Who knows if that's going to be something that's close, or something that they're going to aim for to go to fairly soon, or are they going to spin off to, say, Jurassic Express, like FTR going after Jurassic Express now to try and get all the belts? Or maybe the Young Bucks going, no, we want to get those belts back, because then we can say these belts are the only belts that matter. Or Red Dragon wins those belts, and then it sets up for FTR then, because FTR being heels and well, I suppose Bucks are heels as well, so it doesn't really matter.
Here's a question for you, Todd.
Mm.
You've mentioned that we're now 1 fall apiece in FTR versus Bucks. So presumably a third coming. This match is, according to Meltzer, 4 3/4 stars. If you are FTR and the Bucks, is there something special that you're holding back for the rubber match? Is this not all they can do?
You know what? I think if this was on a pay-per-view, that would have been given 5 stars. I think that's and as much as like we give Meltzer stuff about his ratings and that, he often says he goes off feeling going into these matches. And there was basically a Saturday to Wednesday build.
Yep.
For that match. So it was bugger all time. It was on that ROH pay-per-view. You said, we'll defend the belts against you on Wednesday. So basically, from was it Friday
versus a match
night?
happening at that Ring of Honor event at Supercard. So
Yeah.
you've got it being one of the only Ring of Honor shows. You know, it's Ring of Honor's first show after the change in Ring of Honor, and it's on WrestleMania weekend. So every diehard fan in the world is in the building. Like, obviously, that kind of situation is going to feel more exciting and get that better response from someone like Meltzer than
Yeah.
a match on a Tuesday night.
But also, we see the ratings, and it still didn't even crack a mil.
Yep.
See, that's my thing with the whole Suzuki thing. It's an amazing match. It's a match that you and I will love, and you and I are like, that's an amazing dream match. And you see Twitter and all the wrestling fans are like, that's amazing. I can't wait to see that match. How many extra eyes do you think they're going to draw to what they already just draw?
Anyone who is wanting to watch Suzuki and Joe should also want to watch Bucks and FTR.
But do you think that those people would have already been watching Dynamite?
I think any of them who will watch Dynamite next week watched Dynamite this week.
Yeah.
I don't think you get any more.
That's what I'm saying. It's a big match, but it's not a big match. Like, it's not a match that other people outside, like if I went to work and said to guys that aren't wrestling fans, oh, Minoru Suzuki is defending the ROH TV title against Samoa Joe, they'd be like, well, who are they go? Who are those two? Like, it's very different to say, and I know it's a very different kettle of fish. It's very different to me going to work and saying, oh, Steve Austin's having a match against Kevin Owens.
Yep.
Or even
Waters facing Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, or even I had one of my friends at work who nothing about wrestling, like really talk in outside terms when it comes to wrestling with him. It's very basic. Comes up to me and goes, oh man, Jake Paul was on WrestleMania. How was he? Do you know what I mean? That draws in people that don't watch wrestling.
My brother's not a wrestling guy, but my brother watches the NFL. So he's messaging me going, hey, how was Pat McAfee? Should I go watch it? And I got to go like, yeah, he wrestled Vince McMahon.
Yeah. Wow. He was in the ring with Vince.
He was in the ring with Vince McMahon. They had a match. But anyway, look, let's bring it back to...
You know what I mean, though? I don't see that drawing any more people than already watch it.
Yep.
And so it's cool, but why wouldn't you point that towards if you could, a pay-per-view when you actually earn some money for it? Because you're not earning any extra money off this TV deal by putting this on TV. You'd earn extra money because people are going to pay $30 a pop to watch that. I know I would. If I saw those two were on that pay-per-view card, I'd for sure be buying that show.
Oh, yeah. And if they were building towards it as well and going, you know, hey, this is an important match rather than flashing a card on the screen the week before. You know what I mean?
Well, one thing, it was sort of like, because I watched Rampage recently, like today, and they didn't even make a big deal of it on that show that I saw. No. It was sort of like an offhanded comment. Oh, by the way, Samoa Joe is challenging for the thing. It's like, wouldn't you put up some sort of a, I don't know. I give up. I'm not going to keep arguing.
Well, let's talk about the Rampage that you watched there, Todd. So a couple of things have happened. We've got the big Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, Dan Lambert coming up against Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti. That's going on over that other title that I can't even remember the name of. Then there was
TNT, mate.
TNT title. Thank you very much. Hook and Danhausen. Danhausen's trying to curse Hook, so that's fun. I love Danhausen.
That is possibly one of my favorite segments of those shows. Just when he tries to do it, he goes, what the hell? And then in Rampage, when he popped out and tried to do it again, and it thinks it's the chips now that's making him impervious to it.
Yeah. There was Willow Nightingale and Red Velvet in an Owen Hart Foundation qualifier. Red Velvet winning this one in her new heelish persona. Willow Nightingale is not up to this level of performance, and Red Velvet is not up to this level of performance right now.
No, that was a terrible match. I'm sorry, that it was terrible. Like, there are a lot of things over this week. Like you mentioned earlier with Dynamite, the tables match between the Hardys and Butcher and Blade. I shared the big big fucking spot that Jeff did where he jumped off the top of the ladder through the 2 tables. And my only caption to it was, this is a Wednesday. I mean, I don't know how long they expect Jeff to be around if they're going to do this every freaking week with him.
Yep.
Because it's just, and again, going to Willow Nightingale and Red Velvet, you and I talked off air about this. Willow is extremely green. So, like, if you're a smart booker, and there's not me taking a shot at Tony Khan, I'm just saying any booker worth his salt will go, okay, she's not very good. Let's put her in there with someone who is very good, like he did at the pay-per-view with Mercedes Martinez. Why wouldn't you put her in there with someone like the returning bloody what's
Serena
her name?
Deeb.
Serena Deeb. You put her in with her, and she would be able to carry her to a decent match. Like, it wasn't like the match at Ring of Honor wasn't a great match, but it was a decent enough match. These two were terrible. Like, Red Velvet and Willow Nightingale were terrible. I nearly turned it off before, but then I was like, oh, hang on, I've got to watch this Moxley and Yuta match because everybody's raving about it being a star maker match. So I want to see it. I want to see what the fuss is all about.
So let's talk Moxley Yuta straight away. This is the main event of the show. Moxley beats the absolute tar out of Wheeler Yuta. There is a lot of blood leading to referee stoppage. After the match, William Regal and Bryan Danielson come down to the ring, shake Wheeler Yuta's hand, and invite him to join Blackpool Combat Club. Now, looking back, Wheeler Yuta was actually a name mentioned by Bryan Danielson when talking about people he would like to work with in AEW, along with Jon Moxley and a couple of others. So I'm now wondering if Blackpool Combat Club is literally just, they said to Bryan Danielson, who do you want in a stable?
Well, see, if that's the case, then why would have they done that stuff with Daniel Garcia now with Jericho? Because that was the other name that Danielson mentioned, was Daniel Garcia.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to be a downer here because, like, the match was good. I wasn't a massive fan of the blood, to be honest with you. I think it was a bit too gratuitous, if that's a good word. I know you really can't control that sort of stuff, but still, it was a lot of damn blood, to the point where I think my wife walked out of the room. Because as soon as she realized, as soon as like I impressed her, I was like, that's not fake, babe. That's an actual, he's cut himself, or he's been cut, and that's just real blood. And she's like, well, why isn't the ref stopping this? Like any other sport, any other real sport, is what she said, a referee would have stopped this by now. Or at least, hell, in other wrestling matches you've seen the referee stop it to be able to dress a wound. I can't remember what, I think it was a WrestleMania, maybe. Not a WrestleMania, but a pay-per-view. WWE, where they did that. Someone was bleeding and they took a time out. I think they went to commercial, so that they could patch up a bit of the blood to keep it going. And like, I understand it's a good tool to tell stories, but that was a little too much, in my opinion. It also goes to the fact that like AEW seemed to bleed a hell of a lot, to the point where it sort of loses its luster after a while. So I'm still not sold on Yuta. I understand what they're trying to do with him, and I understand like he's going to get the rub off Regal and off Danielson and Moxley. I'm still not sold on the guy. I'm sorry. I apologize for those of you that are Wheeler Yuta stands. I'm just not one of them.
Yeah, I feel like I've said a few times on this podcast that I really like Wheeler Yuta. I think he has a lot in his future. I think it's interesting to note that you're right about Garcia being one of the others mentioned. There was one other name mentioned by Danielson, and that was Lee Moriarty, who hasn't really been doing much of anything. So he's open to be the next part of this storyline if that's what they want to do. Because, other than getting beat by Jay Lethal on Supercard of Honor, the last time I think he was on TV was losing to Bryan Danielson by referee decision. So I think that could be a possibility. But yeah, I'm with you. I feel like Blackpool Combat Club is such an interesting idea to me because it does give the opportunity to give younger guys a rub when they're with these three super established names.
Mm.
It feels weird that Wheeler Yuta is then put in that mix because Best Friends was that faction, so he's leaving Best Friends to join this.
It's almost like it didn't work
really
with
get added
Best,
to Best Friends, and
it was like it didn't work with Best Friends, so we're going to try in here because we really like him, but then they did the whole thing they did the whole thing with Trent Beretta, this whole Underleaf storyline where Trent the whole time has been like, I don't like you, I think you're so hopefully that gets told a bit more now coming out of this. But if that just means that Beretta's going to be the fall guy now for Yuta to get Yuta over, because otherwise you're just putting this guy with Blackpool and then having him getting beaten by Beretta. So it's like, you know, I don't know. I'm all for guys getting over, like young guys getting over. There are some young guys who I really like and I really want to see succeed. I'm just not sold on Yuta, to be honest with you.
No, that's totally fair. Look, let's quickly talk about what's happening in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling before we move on. Seeing that AEW is making this deal with New Japan World seems only fair. The headlines, number one, is we have new tag team champions in New Japan Pro Wrestling. United Empire, the team of Jeff Cobb and Great Okan, beat Bishamon, which is the team of Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto, for the New Japan tag titles at Hyper Battle. United Empire is the stable, of course, with our boys Aussie Open in it, but more importantly, led by the former New Japan champion, Will Ospreay. Almost got. I was like, I don't know why Zack Sabre Jr. was in my head. Must be the great match that those two had recently. That's my excuse.
They're both English. They're both English.
There you go.
They also got speaking of Aussie Open, they've got a big match coming up with Jeff Cobb against Shane Haste, Jonah, and Bad Guy Tito at New Japan Strong. So that will be.
I didn't know about that, and I'll be watching that.
Oh, didn't you? Sorry. There you go.
No.
Boom.
No. Oh, that's just excited me a lot. That sounds real good.
Yeah, that's coming up. So that's going to be really good.
Look, I'm not sold on Great Okan. I want to be, and I'm not. I don't.
Yeah, I would have rather had what's his name? The Maori that they've got in their team. Oh, geez, I'm drawing a blank now. But I really like him. That's the worst part because I'm drawing a blank about who it is. He's been in the New Japan for a while.
Toa.
Toa. No, not Toa.
Not Toa.
Is it Toa?
TJ Perkins is in the stable now. So that's worth mentioning. No, you're right. Who is it? Not Akira.
No. Hanari.
Yeah, Toa Hanari.
So sorry, because it's Aaron. Is what it's.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm right. It's Toa.
Yeah, no. We'll see. I always know him as Aaron Hanari. That's what I'm like.
Yeah. Sorry, my bad.
That's all right.
But yeah.
I would have rather had him because I think he gets more of a rub by having that with Jeff Khan than Great Okan. Jeff Cobb than Great Okan. But yeah.
I love Jeff Cobb. I've said this a lot. I think he is absolutely spectacular. If you've ever seen Jeff Cobb live, his strength is insane. Now, I know that's true of a lot of wrestlers, but for his size, because he's not a tall guy, seeing him lift those people effortlessly is insane. He's super athletic. Again, he's not tall, but he's so wide, and then he just does a standing moonsault.
Is it like I think is it like Wee Man slamming Sami Zayn?
A little bit like Wee Man slamming Sami Zayn.
But no, to be honest with you, that match that I told you about, Bad Guy Tito, Jonah, Shane Haste against Aussie Open and Jeff Cobb.
Jeff Cobb.
Man, you put Shane Haste in there against.
Oh yeah,
I can't wait to. I can't wait to see. I'm surprised you didn't hear about it. To be honest with you, but that is.
I don't know how I missed that one. I'm hyped for that now.
There you go.
We are positive about wrestling here.
Yeah, there you go. I'm not quite sure what show it's on, but it is upcoming on New Japan. It's probably one of their bigger. Yeah.
And look, another big news story from New Japan is the New Japan US title, which has been vacated by Sonata as a result of him fracturing his orbital bone. So that's a shame. Sonata looked poised to be, it seemed like it was the right time for him to have this title run. But it wasn't to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's he's one of those guys that I would have liked. I would have rather him seen get that big push than Evil when that happened.
Yeah,
because I've got a lot of time for Sonata. I do enjoy his work, and I think he looks legitimate.
Incredible.
He looks legitimate when it comes to that sort of deal. So yeah, hopefully he heals up soon and he gets back. And I know that means that I think it's Tanahashi and Ospreay will be going for that US title now. So we'll get to see that match, which will be good as well.
Yeah, and look, it's never good to see a title vacated, but due to injury, that is what it is. And look, we'll be discussing another title vacation very soon. If you want to make sure that, we don't vacate your podcast feed, make sure you're subscribed. Follow us on Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you're following us, hit that follow button. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, give us that 5-star rating. But we'll be back in a second to talk about what's going on in WWE right here on Making Chicken Salad.
This is the Bro Day Pod. I think like a crocodile has like the bite force and the rip and tear, but I feel like a shark
and
way
roll.
too much teeth, man. Way too many teeth. Too much teeth. Too many teeth. Like just tear flesh out of it. If it's a great white as well, I feel like a shark's got it.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
If I'm in there, I could choke out a shark.
Oh my god, dude. What is this?
You turn into
Is
a triple
that all
threat.
this podcast is? This podcast is just to prove, just for you to convince the world that you can fight every animal. Oh, I'm so heated now.
Shut up. It's a triple threat.
Who's taking the pin? If it's a triple threat?
A triple threat. I'll be the crocodile first. And then I'm
It's
coming for
elimination. It's an elimination. You're taking them both out. Nah, bro. This came out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere. That's it. At any point, all you want to do is prove you can fight animals. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. Go to the next one.
Okay.
Follow Bro Day No Plan B podcast on Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Making Chicken Salad. It's time to talk about the world of WWE. We've got a really big news story, and I will just give a very quick warning, trigger warning for domestic violence. We're not going to sit on it long, skip forward 30 seconds. The wrestler Nash Carter, NXT Tag Team Champion, has been released from WWE after allegations from Kimberly, his ex-wife, also a wrestler, of him being physically abusive during the relationship, as well as an image surfacing of him cutting his mustache to resemble that of Adolf Hitler's and giving a German Sieg Heil salute. Not good stuff.
No.
I hope that
Look, the word coming out is he was released because of the photo, not because none of that's actually been substantiated. Not to say that it didn't happen. I'm just saying that there's not been an investigation into it and that sort of thing. But the photo was apparently what got him
Yeah.
and that photo wasn't. Just to be clear, the photo wasn't like of Halloween this year, or it was from one when he was a teenager. So. Just to put it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, my heart goes out to Wesley at the moment, his tag team partner, who is still in WWE. So we'll see what happens there. The NXT Tag Team Championships have been relinquished and will be contested for on this upcoming episode of NXT. So there you go. That's interesting.
Yeah, they didn't name who was going to be in the match, did they? They just said it was contested.
No.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So we'll see what happens there. We'll be able to update next show with the new NXT Tag Team Champions.
Yeah.
But moving on to what's happened on the let's keep talking about NXT titles. Bron Breakker's got the NXT Championship again after winning it on the Raw after WrestleMania against Dolph Ziggler.
It makes it a very puzzling decision, doesn't it? You think they would have just done it at the takeover,
NXT
stand and
show.
deliver. Yeah, you think they would have done it at that, but maybe they wanted to showcase him on Raw, which, let's face it, more people will probably have seen Raw than watched that NXT stand and deliver.
But if that's the case, what I don't get, Todd, is why don't you have Bron Breakker win the title back on Stand and Deliver and then have Dolph Ziggler activate his rematch clause on Raw, and you still get exactly that match on Raw, except Bron Breakker comes in with the title?
That's a very good question, and not one that I have a good answer for, mate, because I don't understand.
Anyway, that's my little thing. But speaking of Raw, the show was opened by Cody Rhodes, who cut a big old promo about his dad, Dusty Rhodes, never officially holding the world championship, telling the story of seeing the photo of Dusty holding the belt and then being explained for the first time what a Dusty finish is. So why dad never held the belt. So Cody wants that big one so he can, metaphorically put it in his father's hands. Do you think this is something that will happen in the short or long term? Will Cody Rhodes be a world champion in WWE?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's a hell of a story. If this is something that they're laying the plans for, that's a hell of a story that they can tell over the course of this year to maybe next WrestleMania, if they don't get The Rock.
Yep.
Or because we don't know what's happening with those world titles, whether they'll be split again, whether they're just going to keep it as the one title, which I would probably prefer they do that. And it looks like after SmackDown, they want to do it with the tag titles as well.
Yeah, let's jump and talk to that as part of this conversation. On Raw, Roman Reigns said, "I'll tell you more on SmackDown." And then on SmackDown, Roman Reigns said, "I've got 2 titles. The Usos should have 2 titles as well. You've got those SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Go get the Raw ones." And then Nakamura came out and the Usos put him down. So we don't know anything about what's happening with that.
No, well, it looks like
I
that's
assume they've got to be on the line at Backlash, right?
It looks like it's going to be Shin and Roman at the next pay-per-view. And then you'll have the Usos maybe going after RK Bro at the next pay-per-view for the unified titles.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting to have Shinsuke come out as someone who was just fighting the Usos. Because obviously at WrestleMania, Shinsuke was partnered with Rick Boogs, who was injured during the match and so lost that title match to the Usos. So he could feasibly be coming out to, try and get at the Usos and claim that they never, beat them properly for the SmackDown tag titles. But also, Nakamura is a guy who should be in the title scene by rights.
100%.
I think it's fair to say Nakamura is one of the all-time great wrestlers. Like, if you look at what he did in New Japan many years ago now, but he will go down in New Japan as one of the greats of all time. And it's weird to see him in a mid-card position.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the problem where they had so many people that it was like someone like that can get lost. I mean, look at Kushida in NXT. I mean, that's a prime example. That guy is amazing, and he's in a tag team called Jacket Time. So, I mean, it's also like you look at AJ. AJ lost his way there for a while too, before sort of like finding his spot. And I guess maybe it takes longer for some people, especially when with Nakamura, he also had the language barrier where he's been learning English. He's getting quite proficient at it now. That could have led into it, maybe where Vince is like, I need someone that can actually cut a promo to be my world champion. If they're a heel, fair enough, I can put a mouthpiece with them. But as a babyface, it's kind of hard to do that unless you've got like a joke guy like Rick Boogs was with the guitar, doing that sort of thing. 100% though. Like you saw him coming up, and like for me anyway, I'm like, wow, that wasn't out of the ordinary for someone like a Shinsuke to want to challenge for that title.
Yep.
And the matches will be good, and that's really
Yeah.
all I'm sort of thinking.
Look, in saying that, he's challenged for the WWE Championship before against AJ Styles, someone who he was shown to have great in-ring chemistry with, and it flopped under WWE. So, you know, I think that the matches should be great.
Do you know what the difference is, though?
I want to see what it is.
Not wanting to interject here, but the difference, I'll do it all the show, so why not do it now? The difference is, I think that at the time they put AJ and Shin together, they still probably worked a bit more of a New Japan style. Whereas if you've got Shin and Roman Reigns, Roman will help him along with that WWE main event style. It's not a style that everyone loves, but if you want to get ahead, that's the style you
been
need.
Working those WWE style matches longer now. I think you're right. What we saw was a New Japan match with the big bits removed rather than a WWE match, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because they couldn't do the big bits because of their position on the card at the time.
Exactly. Veer Mahan is here.
He
took
came.
his sweet time.
Came all
Veer
over that
Mahan
ring.
has arrived.
Sorry, that was a terrible joke.
Thanks,
I apologize.
Todd. Thanks, Todd. The Miz beat Dominic Mysterio with a skull-crushing finale, and then Veer Mahan came out and just crushed the Mysterios. So Veer is here.
Veer is here, yes, and he's got Rey Mysterio next week. So,
right.
I mean, I question putting him in there with Rey just because it's a massive size disparity, and like, fair enough, you want to make him look strong. But having beat up a little guy at the start, I don't think makes you look strong to start with.
I think the point is to make him look big.
Yeah.
Right? Because if they're not, they want him to look the way Omos looks, right? He's supposed to be a juggernaut. And the way you make someone look like that is you have them toss Rey Mysterio around.
Yeah, fair. But it's... Look, I'm just going to say it right now. Like, having him there I think is not the right spot, because what I would rather have seen is Dominic turn on Rey and have those two just work for a while. That's what I would have liked to have seen. Like, in my as a booking mind, that's what I would have liked to have seen, because you could see it sort of like slowly start to work that way as it's been going. So you're just throwing something in there for the sake of throwing it in there where you could have put it somewhere else. I don't know where.
Sounds like you'd rather hotshot that story than have the long-term storytelling, Todd.
What do you mean?
Like, I say it as a joke. But
sorry.
I don't see why they can't do another month where the Mysterios are together, and then you have Dominic turn on Rey.
Yeah.
Right?
But
Like,
then,
at the moment, I don't see a linchpin reason that has been building for Dominic to turn on Rey. Because
the story they've been telling is that he's progressively getting more upset that he's not winning. Progressively getting more upset that, like, his dad has to be around him all the time. Like, you can tell in some of those things, you know what I mean? It's sort of like, I can do this on my own. And then during the match, his dad will come out.
But it's still kind of subtle, right? And
but like,
it can build to a point where it's less subtle.
But it's already been building. It's been building for like 6 months. So why wouldn't you do something like, after you have Rey win something big, like a big match against someone, and then you have Dominic turn on him? And you wouldn't do it against this guy because you've just been building this guy that he's going to be coming for fucking 6 months. So you're not going to have Rey beat him and then have Dominic turn on him then. Because that's when, like, you do it when the guy's the biggest, like, at his highest point, that's when you turn on him. Because the old Owen Hart thing, you've done all this and you couldn't, all you had to do was tag me. All you had to do was tag me and I would have won those titles. Do you know what I mean? That's where I'm going with this.
Can you see a version of the story where Dominic says, "You're holding me down. You lost against Veer Mahan. Because of you, we lost against The Miz and Logan Paul. I'm splitting off from you," and have him turn at a low point.
It's an AEW turn. Like, I hate to say it, but AEW turns are never a violent turn. It's always someone like it seems to be anyway that it's always just like, well, I don't really like you anymore. I'm going away. There's never an actual like turn, like attack the guy. And that's what I want. I want Dominic to go ape shit on his dad and there to be a feud. And to maybe for the first couple of months, Ray just be like the whole Undertaker Kane thing, where I will not have a match against my son. I will not fight my son. To the point where Dominic just keeps needling him, where he goes, well, every now and then a father has to teach his son a lesson. And it fucking the Royal Rumble, I'm going to teach him a lesson. You know what I mean? That's like you have him constantly doing stuff. And I would have rather him seen going that direction than where they're going right now, where they're basically just going to feed. Let's face it, they fed Dominic to Miz to build him up for Logan Paul, obviously. And they're going to feed Ray to Veer Mahan.
Well, look, let's keep talking about people turning on people. MVP turned on Bobby Lashley on this episode of Raw during a confrontation between Lashley and Omos. Looks like MVP aligning himself with Omos. I think that's a good choice because Omos needs a mouthpiece.
But then this is again goes back to what I was saying with Dominic and Ray. He had a motivation. You didn't need me around, and look what happened. Like, you didn't need me around. At WrestleMania, you didn't want me there. Fine, I'm going to show you how valuable I am. And turned on him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's motivations.
Yeah, absolutely. And people keep turning on each other. Queen Zelina has attacked Carmella after blaming Carmella for losing the women's tag team title at WrestleMania. Of course, being too distracted by new husband, Corey Graves. Also, another turn was Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin, the two brawling on an episode of Happy Talk when Corbin told Moss that it was Moss's fault for him losing to Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania and making the whole weekend about him with the Andre Memorial Battle Royal. So
there's a big rumor backstage. Yeah, there's a big rumor going around that they're really keen on Moss and they want to try and give him a bit of a push. So we'll see where this goes. Because I mean,
which would make sense, having won the Andre Battle Royal.
Yeah, and you look at him and he's chiseled like a god, and can talk on the mic. He just needs to drop that other side of him now. And maybe if he does these bad jokes, they're all pointed at heels. And maybe they become a little less bad. Just a scooch less bad.
Just a touch?
Just a scooch.
Just a tiny bit?
Just a scooch. But yeah.
Also on SmackDown, Liv Morgan beat Sasha Banks, and Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley have a shot at the women's tag team titles on Monday on Raw against Sasha Banks and Naomi.
Which, look, I'll be honest with you, I love Rhea. That's my girl. This was stupid. Because Monday they had Sasha and Naomi against Rhea and Liv, and they lost clean by pinfall. And then Rhea looked like she was sort of going to turn on Liv, but didn't, just walked off on her. They had a chat backstage. He said, well, I've got us a title match next week on Monday Night Raw, just out of nowhere. Just did it. So then they go to SmackDown where Liv beats Sasha. Why wouldn't you do that? Not so much the other way around, but have her beat her in a singles match first and go, that just got us a title shot.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. My concern is I feel like they feel like Rhea is such a good utility player that they can swap her between heel and face for whatever they need to do at that time, right? She's a heel. Now, right now, she's a face. Then they can have her turn heel on Liv Morgan, and then they can just flip her back to face again when they need it. I'm worried that Rhea Ripley is going to fall into the Dolph Ziggler position.
I'm hoping they're just keeping her in a holding pattern for Bianca.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping.
Was it last episode? I think we said it seems like the logical next night one Mania main event is Rhea and Bianca Belair for a women's championship.
I mean, you look at those two, and I equate that to the female version of Rock and Austin. Do you know what I mean? They both came up together. They're both sort of like peaking at the same time. They had those moments at the last two Rumbles. I think they've both had moments where they faced off and the crowd went apeshit every time they got near each other.
Final two Rumbles ago.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
think they were final 3 the last Rumble.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like if you were going to do, especially at the moment, if they've got her in this tag title thing, it's sort of like just a holding pattern sort of deal until they get to a certain point. They missed the boat on Liv. They could have given Liv the title a while ago, but they decided not to. As for the whole, like, we still don't know what's going on. Like, you don't know with Bianca if Becky's going to come back and keep challenging her for a while, or if that doesn't happen, then where's Becky go? Or it's everything at the moment where it comes to that women's division is very murky because you're not quite sure what's going to happen with stuff on Raw anyway. On SmackDown, it's very much just still Charlotte and Ronda.
Yeah. Speaking of, Ronda challenged Charlotte to an I Quit match at Backlash. Flair responded by saying she didn't quit at WrestleMania and shot down the challenge, but it has been set.
No. Yes. Okay.
So, I wish I was seeing less of Ronda Rousey, but it is what it is. The rumor mill's also saying that we may see Ronda team with Shayna in the near future. I would rather just see Shayna, but again, that's my opinion.
I mean, yeah, look, I don't mind that idea because it'll keep her away from. If you could put her in the tag division for a while and get her to learn some stuff, it might be a good thing for her. But you got to get through this whole thing with Charlotte first.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And speaking of women that I don't particularly enjoy watching, Lacey Evans is returning, having a pre-typed interview saying that she's coming back. Looks like she'll be a babyface. Was talking about her rough upbringing. But I think the big headlines that have been made from SmackDown are the result of name changes. So Butch is still Butch. He had a match against Xavier Woods where he's Butch, all right, where he lost via roll-up and then just started absolutely throwing chops and punches at Ridge Holland and Sheamus, who are his stablemates. So that's going on. We've also had Raquel Gonzalez move up to SmackDown, and she is now Raquel Rodriguez for no apparent reason. She's keeping the first name but changing the surname, even though she was women's champion as Raquel Gonzalez.
Well, look, to be fair, at least they gave her a second name.
They did. She has still got a surname. So
she's still got a surname.
And another person who still has a surname is Ludwig Kaiser, which is the new name of Marcel Barthel, who showed up with Gunther on SmackDown as Gunther won his first SmackDown match. Now, this is really interesting because, as had been previously reported, Fabian Eichner still in NXT. Just the two have been brought up to SmackDown. What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, he walked out on his partner at the last show. This week's NXT walked out on him. So that's what set that up. Look, I don't mind it, honestly, because maybe that other guy I can't remember, Eichner needs a bit more work than what Barthel does, because let's face it, Barthel is a really good worker. They're both really good. Like, well, everyone knows that bloody Gunther or Walter is a great worker.
So you're telling me that Imperium is good?
I know. Well, two of them are.
Yeah.
But
yeah, look.
Yeah, who knows what they're going to do with that? But I've got no problem with the name Ludwig Kaiser. It's not a bad name. Marcel Barthel did not seem like a very German name for what the character is. So at least that's a very German name. Like Ludwig Kaiser, you can't really go past saying, no, that's German. Like,
yeah, I actually like Ludwig Kaiser as a name for him. I think it fits who he is, fits the character. I think it would have been a great name instead of Gunther.
Yeah, I read Marcel Barthel, and I think that's a French guy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just reading it. So I've got no problem with this name change at all. The Gonzalez to Rodriguez thing, no idea what that's about. It's not like they have another Gonzalez on the roster and thought we can't have them there because they're going to think they're brother and sister, or
That's
who knows.
and they just needed to take one really common Spanish surname and sub it out for a different really common Spanish surname. That was
That's
really
right.
important.
I will say one thing though. I liked the Lacey Evans spot because it's an
Okay.
actual true story. That's her legit background. So she's telling something from a life experience. And like, you can't really go wrong when you're sort of just telling your story. It's very much like, now I'm not in any way equating the two, but Eddie Kingston is very much, that's Eddie. Like if they've moved more into like, that's just Lacey. This is what she is. So, and I can't see a problem with that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Moving on. Let's go to the segment we are named for chicken salad and chicken shit. Let's start with the negatives. Todd, what was your chicken shit for the past week?
Look, we all talk about, people talk about how good AEW are at making new stars. Like this is what we've heard about with Wheeler Yuta and that sort of thing. They have legitimately in less than a month made me not want to watch Sammy Guevara anymore. Like I get that him and Tay Conte are together. That's cool. Why do they have to be together on screen? And why do they have to keep doing these like, you've got to be unlikable or unliked when Dan Lambert's getting over on you. Like they cheered Dan Lambert over Brandy. And now they're cheering. They're starting to like, I've noticed it. I noticed it on, was it last week's Dynamite? They came out to do the signs thing together. And anytime they touched or anytime Tay Conte did something, you could hear the crowd booing. And they're really trying to force it now that they're America's favorite couple. And like that, I think, what's his name said that on commentary? Mask. What's his name? Excalibur, thank you. Said it on, like, called it on commentary. Oh, they're America's favorite couple. And like, everyone's booing the shit out of them anytime they touch or anytime they kiss. Because not 6 months ago, Sammy Guevara did a very public engagement with somebody else.
And
so
on top of that, so someone who just ended a very public relationship and is now with this other person. And wrestling relationships historically haven't been the most stable thing in the world. And we're going to put it on TV straight away.
Yeah, well, look, the thing is that they seem to want to feed, they seem to want to add anything from their vlogs into their storylines, which I can understand that because maybe they'll get the hardcores more invested because they're watching it and they go, oh, cool, this is, I watched Sammy's vlog, so I know that they're a couple and all of this sort of stuff. I don't think it helps him. If anything, I think it drags him down. Like he was that young babyface, if I was to equate it, he was that young Bret Hart, Intercontinental Champion guy coming up, had a massive future ahead of him. And I straight out already don't see him like that anymore, which is sad because I loved Sammy. Sammy's got so much talent and so much. I just don't like this role that they've got him in with Tay. And I like Tay when she's on her own. Together, there's something about it I don't like. And I can't put my finger on it, what it is, but I want the guy to be more focused on wrestling and less focused on his girlfriend when it comes to at a wrestling show.
All right. For my chicken shit, I'm also going to talk about someone who I liked and thought they had a lot of potential, a young guy that right now I'm just not interested in seeing what's going on. And that's the allegiance of Damian Priest with Edge. I don't think Edge needed this heel turn, but, whatever. They were going to do the AJ Mania match. That's fine. If you want to put Priest with someone more experienced, get him, some learning that way, fine. This like Dark Brotherhood thing, it feels 1998 to me. It doesn't feel like 2022 wrestling. And the thing that I really don't want is more of that WrestleMania match between Edge and AJ. Because that match should have been good and it was an absolute slog. And now we're continuing this feud.
So do
I
you
don't
just,
know why.
just as an aside, do you see that as the House of Black as well?
Can I tell you honestly?
Yeah.
House of Black aren't doing anything.
Mm.
So I can't feel negative about them because I'm not seeing them.
That's fair.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you,
yeah.
you can only hate what's on your TV, and right now House of Black aren't on my TV.
Yeah. That's
House
fair
of
enough.
Black. Look, I find House of Black a lot more interesting because it doesn't feel like they're doing, we are pure evil bad guys. It feels like they have, and again, I'm giving a lot of credit to AEW here. They feel like they're using religious imagery and that kind of black metal aesthetic to create an identity to throw doubt into their opponent's mind about what they're going to do. And then they're just brutal in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whereas it feels like these guys, Damian and Edge, are trying to do a Brood 2.0 thing.
Mm.
And that,
I mean,
I don't know why that feels different to me, but it does. Maybe it's just that I don't trust WWE.
Yeah. And it's also only been, it was WrestleMania and then SmackDown.
Yep.
So you've had 2 shows.
Yeah.
So, and there has been rumors going around too that maybe there will be some people added. Like there's been rumors about Tommaso Ciampa, and then there's even a rumor Rhea Ripley as well. Because I do know that is something that she would fit in that when you look at her.
Yeah.
And also, like you see with Tommaso maybe needs something when he goes up there, just a little bit of shielding. Just so he doesn't
look. They should just give him a pirate gimmick. That's what I think. Just stick an eye patch on him for when he does his ring entrance.
Why
give him
would
a
you
flag
do this?
to wave.
Don't even mention
great.
this. Shut up. It really worked
They
for
can
Paul
rename
Burchill.
him Blackjack O'Leary.
It really worked for Paul Burchill.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Paul Burchill 2.0. Let's see it. I've changed my mind. My chicken salad this week is Tommaso Ciampa getting Paul Burchill's gimmick.
You're on the right way getting kicked off this show, brother. I'm just telling you right now.
All right. Todd, what's your chicken salad for the week?
Again, FTR. I should just call it what's your FTR for the week. Because they again,
I almost literally didn't bother asking. I almost said, well, Todd's chicken salad for the week is the FTR match.
Yeah, of course it is, because back-to-back weeks they've had 2 match of the year candidates. Like, simple as that. And again, it's that old thing of the storytelling. They tell stories in that ring. I mean, what more can I say? Like, and also I'm going to say too, another chicken salad is, I don't know how you feel about it, so this could be contentious. I don't mind the Ezekiel thing. I think it's hilarious.
Hey, do you want to scroll up and see what I've highlighted in the run sheet there, Todd?
Oh my God, I did not see that.
Not to talk about Ezekiel because it's my chicken salad.
I did not see that. Sorry, man.
Damn,
actually say the words to me.
So much fun.
We went to a break. Say the words to me.
Look, so Kevin Owens came out, started talking about, he had a back injury, so he didn't really lose to Stone Cold. And then clearly Elias comes out. Very clearly Elias.
It wasn't clearly Elias. It wasn't really until you got a close up.
Short hair and a shave and different ring gear. Right?
Yes.
He has got actual wrestling tights on instead of his drifter jeans and wife beater. He has got his hair is shorter. Long but not long.
Yeah. It's like shoulder length now instead of like middle of the back length.
And he's clean shaven. But he wants to let everyone know this isn't Elias. This is Ezekiel. He is Elias's younger brother. This is the funniest thing that could possibly happen. I love this. I've been telling people about it because this is the stuff I love about wrestling. Here's the most stupid idea we can possibly do. And because it's wrestling, like, maybe this is Ezekiel and it's not Elias. The thing that I can't get out of my head is if they do a promo, like a pre-taped promo, where we see Elias talk to Ezekiel, I'm going to lose my mind. I love this so much. It makes me so happy. He's Elias's little brother.
I just like that they didn't beat around the bush from day one. It's not like they completely they tried to say no, like, because a lot of times you see the commentators go, no, it's clearly that's Elias's brother. Like straight away, all of them are just like, that's clearly Elias. Even Kevin Owens is like, I know who you are. You're Elias.
Kevin Owens is on the microphone calling out Elias.
Yeah.
On top of this, let's talk about on Twitter, Elias's account at I am Elias WWE has been taken over by Ezekiel (brackets Elias's younger bro). He has tweeted, "Hey guys, since Elias is gone, I'll be taking over his Twitter. I'm his younger brother Ezekiel." Retweeting people talking about Ezekiel versus Elias dream matches. I love this. I love this so much.
Can I also add another one that I think, I don't know if it'll be one that you'll like or nothing.
Go for it.
But that, you know how you said that Xavier Woods won by a roll-up? He didn't. He won by a small package, which is now his finishing move called the backwards. I love that.
Oh, wow.
I love that.
That's so good. That reminds me of the Prefects, whose finishing move was, of course, the schoolboy. Like, why don't more people have pins as finishes? That's great. Have a pinning combination that's your finishing move. I know that there's a reason he's my favorite. Pentagon Jr. did it in Lucha Underground. He had a pinning combination as a signature move. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, what's his name? I'm so good with names tonight.
So good.
Darby Allin has that the Last Supper, I think it's called.
Yep.
As a finishing move, which is just like it's like a figure four with the legs, and then he turns it over into a pinning combination, which I love. I've been trying to get guys up here to steal it because I love the move.
There we go. That's the Making Chicken Salad request of any wrestlers listening to this. Have a signature pinning combination, please.
Yeah.
They're real good.
Definitely. 100%. There we go. But
look,
yeah,
if you want to hear more of Making Chicken Salad's recommendations, you should follow us. We are at Wrestle Radio AU on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow us on Facebook at Wrestle Radio Australia. Did you want to add something there, Todd?
No. Go on. You're doing fine.
Brilliant.
Brother.
Okay. I'll go on the roll then. Look,
sorry, I'm throwing you off.
No, all good. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. We're on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you subscribe. Go follow us. Thanks for showing me the Scott Hall there, Todd. I really appreciate it. Look, if you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure you rate us 5 stars as well, because it really helps us get into more people's ears. And if you're looking at representing the brand, you can go to Redbubble, search for Wrestle Radio Australia. You'll be able to find our merch, and all the proceeds of that don't go into our pockets. They go to Beyond Blue and Gotcha for Life, 2 awesome charities that support mental health, especially men's mental health here in Australia. Anything else that we've got to chat about, Todd, before we go?
That's it as far as, unless I've missed something. Well, I don't think I have. That'll be it. We might take a break over Easter. I'm not too sure, unless something big happens during the week. I don't know. Maybe you want to talk about Samoa and Suzuki. I'm not sure, but we'll keep people abreast of what's going on.
Absolutely. And go ahead and go to twitch.tv/FaultGamesLive and throw that a follow as well if you want to see me play some card games. There you go. I'll just slide that one in every so often. Hey,
go for it, mate. Go for it. You can slide that in every week if you wish.
Beautiful. We'll put
promote it yourself, brother. Promote yourself. Get around
with that. Look, absolutely get around it. That's been Todd Eastman. I've been Lachlan Albert. Until next time, have a good one.